These are 5 of Adventure Time's scariest episodes of all time. The 5th scariest is Red Starved. The episode starts off with Finn, Jake, and Marceline exploring an abandoned city made of sand, and Jake is complaining about a stomachache from some weird candy he ate. This is actually important and you'll see why later. They're apparently in this abandoned city to get a magic spoon for PB called the Spoon of Prosperity. And they get the spoon really easily, and they're about to leave until Jake starts playing in some quicksand, and then he tries to get out by turning his body into a drill, which causes a huge cave-in and shuts off their only exit. So Finn tries calling PB, but he can't get a good signal. And Jake's still hungry, and they pull out the snacks. And this is when Marcy finds out that Jake ate all of her red erasers. Finn tells her not to freak out, and he goes to look for something red Marcy can eat. But they should freak out, because Marceline warns Jake that if she gets too hungry, she won't be able to control herself. And she also offers to tie herself up, so something bad's gonna happen when she gets hungry. So Finn goes into a really deep cave and he follows this red light, and then he finds out that the red light is what turned people into sand, and so he avoids it. We go back to Marcy, who is starting to lose her mind to the hunger. Just look at her face. She even starts to threaten Jake. So Finn finds a red crystal and some weird old monster shining the light through it, and the monster asks Finn if he's an old friend, but Finn tells him that that dude's probably been dead for like 500 years, and he asks if he can take the ruby, but the monster tells him that it's an emerald, but he still lets him take it. We go back to Marceline and Jake, and she is starting to lose control, and so Jake buries her in the sand. And tell me how this dude is still hungry. He literally ate erasers, cookies, and a whole sandwich, but now he wants to cook Marceline with the lava. And by the time Finn gets back with the crystal, Jake and Marceline are both set on eating each other. What the heck? So he tells him that he brought back a ruby. That's an emerald, dude. And he reminds Finn that he's a little colorblind, which I think is pretty funny because usually dogs are the colorblind ones. I also thought it was cool how we saw what Finn saw until Jake told him that it was green. And so Jake tells Finn that him and Marcy were planning on eating each other. But then Marcy escapes. And dude, she looks terrifying when she's hungry. Lucky for Finn and Jake though, Princess Bubblegum crashes into the cave on a giant worm and comes to rescue them. Jake tries warning PB about Marceline, but she tackles her and sucks the pink out of her. This is when we see how powerful a Spoon of Prosperity is, because it instantly restores her back to full health. The sandworm leaves and the episode ends. This episode was pretty scary. Watching Marceline turn into a feral vampire was insane. It's also scary to imagine, what if Princess Bubblegum never came and they were trapped there with the hungry vampire? They probably would have been eaten, and unlike Princess Bubblegum, they had no idea how the spoon works. Also, the fact that they got trapped underground is very terrifying. The 4th scariest episode is The Creeps. The episode starts off with Finn and Jake on their way to some kind of party, and honestly their outfits look pretty sick. They arrive at the party, and they have to put these masks on at the door. There's something really weird going on though. According to the invite, they all have to use these weird names like Professor Pants and Guy Farting, and they find an envelope on Guy Farting's back, which says something crazy. It says that the host of the party is a ghost who is going to possess one of the guests and use their body to kill everyone at the party. And apparently anyone who tries to leave will die. Wow. Guy Farting books it to the door, but boom, a flash of lightning hits, and all that's left is his skeleton. Jake tries to convince him that it's fake, but it seems like he's really dead. And Finn thinks one of them is already possessed. So he asks BMO to use his ghost detecting equipment to scan everyone. But BMO doesn't actually have a ghost scanner, he just likes taking nice pictures. So the gang decides to split up. So Jake and BMO head to the basement, but then something flies by and the ghost takes BMO. Jake runs back to meet up with the group, but something's wrong. LSP is screaming that she is dying, but it turns out she was just in the bathroom. They go to the dining room, and Finn starts asking everyone personal questions to make sure they're not possessed. Finn starts losing his trust in everyone, but then something crazy happens. A ghost comes out of the ceiling and literally makes Princess Bubblegum melt. Finn goes to check the closet, and what he finds is disturbing. Cinnamon Bun and BMO's bodies are absolutely destroyed. LSP tries to call her parents, but then the lights go black, and LSP vanishes and goes into the painting. The ghost comes back, and Finn and Jake try to run away, but they can't open the door. They run up the stairs, but the ghost grabs Jake and drags him away. But then, right when Finn thinks he's safe, this terrifying green ghost lady pops up, and her hair surrounds the room, and Finn literally has to break out through the wall. This ghost also ends up traumatizing Finn for a long time, so Finn runs up to the sky view and the ghost has him cornered. But it turns out that the entire time, Jake really was just playing a prank on him and was using Lady Rainicorn as his ghost because she can go through walls. And oh, Princess Bubblegum melting was just a wax figure. Finn tries to ask Jake how he did that thing with the hair and the house trying to eat him, but Jake has no idea what he's talking about, which is very creepy. And so Finn straight up tries to repress the memory at the end. From the beginning of this episode, it was very creepy and had a very ominous vibe. It'd probably be higher on the list because of how terrifying the ghost is, but since the entire episode is just Jake pranking Finn until the end, I think it should be lower. I really like the murder mansion cliche, and they executed it in a really enjoyable way. It was a nice plot twist that Jake was pranking him, and the fact that Finn saw an actual ghost was pretty terrifying, and leaves the audience asking a lot of questions. The 3rd scariest episode is No One Can Hear You. The episode starts off with some kind of deer going around and licking all of the candy people, which makes them very uncomfortable. Finn and Jake try to chase the deer, but it kicks Jake in the face and literally breaks Finn's leg and knocks him out. Finn wakes up in a hospital bed and he tries calling a doctor, but no one answers. And then things get really weird because he can't find anyone. So Finn gets in a wheelchair and begins rolling around the Candy Kingdom to see if he can find anyone. He hears someone going through the trash, and it's Jake. Only there's something really wrong with him after hitting his head. Jake thinks everyone is throwing him a surprise party, and that's why they're hiding. Finn goes to the fountain to take a bath, and he also tries to lure out all the candy people, but doesn't have any luck. Then, later that night, Finn tries to tell Jake that the candy people could be in trouble, but this makes Jake freak out. But anyways, they end up going to bed, and Finn hears weird noises coming from the sewer, which he thinks might be the candy people. This is when Jake says something insane. He's apparently been waiting for the surprise party for 6 months. 6 months. This makes Finn realize that he's been asleep for months and Jake lost his mind. So Finn wheels away as fast as he can, but the wheelchair breaks and Jake catches him. Jake now has Finn tied to a pole and he looks absolutely crazy. But Finn manipulates Jake into freeing him by telling him he wants to join his party. But Finn makes a run for it again and even breaks his cast. This time he actually makes it into the sewer, and what they find next is crazy. Every single person from the Candy Kingdom, even Princess Bubblegum, is stuck in some weird sap. Jake starts saying, "Surprise, surprise!" And this makes Finn think that Jake is the one that did this. This makes Finn mad, and he punches Jake so hard that he knocks him back to normal. Jake picks up Peppermint Butler to apologize, but he tells him that Jake's not the one who did this. It was the weird deer that broke Finn's leg. So Finn tells Jake to free the candy people while he fights the deer. And so Finn and the deer are wrestling until bam, Jake drops 2 center blocks right on this thing's head. The candy people push the deer deeper into the sewer and everything goes back to normal. Finn also did all of this with broken legs, which is so impressive. This episode was really creepy and I actually enjoyed it a lot. The fact that this deer stomped on Finn's leg was really unsettling to watch, and it's also pretty scary that the candy people just vanished after he woke up. And imagine what would have happened if Finn and Jake never went to the sewer. What if Jake stayed crazy forever? And don't even get me started on that creepy deer. That scene where he takes off his gloves was straight up terrifying. The second scariest is Mortal Recoil. The episode starts with Princess Bubblegum being escorted to the emergency room. The princess wakes up, but something is different about her. Ice King tries telling him that he saw something when she fell into the well, but nobody listens. So he gets really offended and leaves, because they all called him an old man. Finn says sorry for how Ice King was acting, but all she says is, "The Ice Wizard is a weak fool." Based on her eyes, she's probably being possessed by the Lich. But Finn and Jake don't know yet. PB starts acting really weird. She crawled all the way to the kitchen and Finn had to put her back into the bed. She tells him that she needs to get some stuff, but then something crazy happens. Peppermint Butler comes in, but he flips out when he sees PB. He straight up hisses like a cat and runs away. But Finn thinks nothing of this and leaves to get her groceries. And things get so much worse. Jake tries to play music for the princess, but it makes her mad. She literally makes the entire room catch on fire, and we get this terrifying scene of her face melting off. Finn and Jake go into the room and she looks disgusting. She made some weird potion with all of these chemicals and starts growing a lot. She smashes Finn and Jake into the other room, which Ice King just happens to be chilling in. He stayed to keep an eye on her because he knew that she was possessed by the Lich, and that's what he was trying to say earlier. He offers his help because he would never let his future wife be physically unattractive, and at first they reject his help. And Finn tries to use the power of his sweater, but he instantly gets his butt kicked. Finn now realizes liking her is not enough to stop her, so he asks the Ice King for help. They fly back and Ice King is able to freeze the giant deformed princess completely, but something insane happens. PB tips over and shatters into a bunch of pieces. The doctors do their best to try to put her back together, but there's one problem. There wasn't enough bubblegum. So now PB is 13 years old. And the episode ends with a cute little hug, and then it zooms into Shelby, the snail, who is still possessed. This entire episode was insane, but so fun to watch. Princess Bubblegum really creeped me out. Her voice, the way she talked, the way she was literally possessed by a demon the entire episode, and the scene with her face melting off was straight up just nightmare fuel. And then finally, the scariest episode is Blank Eyed Girl. The episode starts off with Finn and Jake eating at a pizzeria, and they're listening to Starchy's conspiracy broadcast. Starchy's conspiracies are pretty baloney until he gets a call from a frightened banana guard. He was doing his laundry, but then something insane happens. He saw a little girl in the reflection with blank eyes. When he turned around, no one was there. Starchy says that the girl with blank eyes has been spotted around the kingdom for centuries, but nobody knows what they are. Jay thinks everything he's saying is just baloney, including the blank-eyed girls. So they start walking home, and at first it's pretty normal, but they start to feel like they're being watched, and they keep hearing weird noises. So they hold hands and run home as fast as they can, and they make it home safe. But right after getting inside, they hear weird scratches on their door. Finn opens the door and the blanked-eyed girl is right at their doorstep. They slam a door in her face and Finn decides to open it back up, but she's gone. but not really because now she's on the other side of the house. She disappears again and Finn decides that he should call Starchy, which is probably not the best idea. Finn tells Starchy about the blank-eyed girl situation and he has no idea what he's talking about and keeps giving Finn really bad advice. Starchy tells Finn that the girls are like vampires and they can't come in unless they get invited. One problem, she's already in the house. Starchy has Finn and Jake do a bunch of other stupid things, like offer her cream and play the clarinet, but something insane happens. Jake starts playing the clarinet and he lures out 5 more of them. Jake calls out Starchy on his stupid advice, so Finn and Jake head to the library. Also, why is there a book named Butt Stuff? What? Finn and Jake asked Hero Princess if she knows anything about the blank-eyed girl, and all she says is that they started popping up around 5 years ago. But wait, Starchy's radio show also started 5 years ago. So now Finn thinks that the girls only exist because of the energy of people believing in them. Sure, yeah. Finn has a new plan to just ignore the girls and not be creeped out by them. The creepy girls completely surround Jake and he tries to stay positive, but he instantly breaks down. This is when something crazy disturbing happens. The girls take off their big black eyes, which are apparently just contacts. So they're probably just normal girls, right? But then they take off their hair. Then something insane happens again. The girls start twisting off their heads and drop them on the ground. Their skin falls completely off and reveals some weird dust figure, and they go through the window. Finn and Jake are terrified and confused, but BMO just goes, "It was beautiful," and the episode just ends. From start to finish, this episode was just extremely creepy, and the ending was straight up terrifying and extremely confusing. The creepy little girl with giant eyes was certainly unsettling, and it just got so much weirder when there was 6 of them. And the fact she just didn't talk made her much scarier, and we don't even know what she was, where she was, if they're gonna, it just makes no sense. I don't know. But yeah, that's me talking about Adventure Time, the scariest episode of Adventure Time. Let's talk about scariest episode of Adventure Time, the scariest, because these are the scariest episodes of Adventure Time. I've literally just, these are the 5 scariest episodes of Adventure Time. So